And thank you for staying up late with us here. We have a great show planned for you, along with some great guests tonight. Now, we will have our breaking P. Diddy news in a matter of minutes here on The Factor. But first, we begin with a shocking investigation unearthed by NBC News. A medical school here in Texas accused of selling unclaimed corpses for cash. According to the report, this was made possible through a deal between Tarrant and Dallas counties. Those counties allegedly sent more than 2,000 bodies to the University of North Texas Health Service Science Center in Fort Worth back in 2019. The medical school is accused of chopping up the bodies and mailing them to other universities, medical device makers, and the Army. And here's a snapshot. The sad part, on profit in this case. A torso would run for $900 and a leg would cost $341. Dallas and Tarrant counties reportedly each save $500,000 per year on burial and cremation costs with this program. Now, there's no price tag on the damage done to those families out there and their loved ones. They had no idea this was happening. The University of North Texas Health Science Center has since suspended their body donation program and fired the leaders involved. Joining us to talk about it here on The Factor Uncensored tonight, we have with us Saheed Ali, heads of All People's Funeral Home, attorney Eric Dick, who's also a civil attorney but specializes in real estate, but he knows about this as well, and Bobby Swearington of Fort Bend Memorial Planning Center. Glad to have you all here on The Factor. So when we talk about the egregious nature of a case, what you attorneys always say, just how bad is this, Eric?
It's pretty bad. I mean, it reminds me of being in law school and reading about what is it, negligent infliction of emotional distress, which you rarely hear about that. But the example of negligent infliction of emotional distress, the textbook example, is whenever someone's cadaver, a family member's cadaver, is kind of messed up and I hear it's taken apart and sold for dollars. So I think this is a kind of a textbook, literally a textbook example of a cause of action. I'm also an elected official. I just note that this is a really bad look for any county to do something like this, to make money and profit off of the most, vulnerable. It's really sad, and it's a bad look for everyone involved, especially the education facilities. It'd be one thing if this was 1700s and you couldn't find bodies, but this is way different times.
Absolutely.
Very, very bad.
And Saheed, as a person who owns and operates a funeral home, how touchy people can be if their family members don't look exactly like they did when they were alive. And, but to have that family member dismembered and sold for $300 here, $900 here, that's got to be just like mind-blowing to a family and mentally damaging.
Absolutely, and this story baffles me. The fact that I'm even reading it is just crazy to me. But my heart goes out to those families that were affected by the choices that were made between that organization and the Tarrant and Dallas County medical examiners. I don't understand it because, in my experience, being from a donation background, working at a big OPO, which is an organ procurement organization in Houston, Texas, there was consent that was necessary from the family before donation.
Anything like this could happen, yeah.
And it's just so final when their loved ones are being chopped up, and so I just don't understand it, but my heart definitely goes out to those families. I can imagine.
And Bobby, we know there are paupers out there, or what they call pauper cemeteries, where if family members can't afford to bury them or don't claim them, then they can put them in those cemeteries for either free or a nominal fee. But
Yes,
if you're not even following through on the process to notify families,
Correct.
Just how horrible is that?
It can be very damaging. Currently, we actually have county contracts with the county where we handle indigent burials, and it's the responsibility of the county to do their due diligence to notify the next of kin. And in the event that they are not able to notify a next of kin, then they take it upon themselves and they go through a funeral home and they bury, but it does cost the county. And so I think the major problem in this situation is that the families were not notified.
Right.
And they were not given the option of whether or not they wanted to go through with the organ donation that has happened. And so, again, like Saeed said, I definitely want to give my condolences to the family that had to go through this type of situation. But it is very common. Organ donation is very common. But the thing is, they should be able to give consent. It shouldn't be taken upon, the county to decide whether or not, just because a person is indigent or doesn't have a next of kin, to just ship them off to a medical school. I don't think that that's right.
And when we say organ donation, we think of internal organs. We don't think of arms and legs and torso, but that's all a part of it, right?
Yes, sir. Corneas, long bones, skin grafts, all that kind of stuff falls under that category.
Do you think people would be turned off if they knew it was like every damn piece of your body that could be donated? And obviously it's helping a good cause.
Right.
In some instances, and we hope in most instances. But when you hear, okay, a leg, an arm, a torso, and you're like, wait, I thought you were talking about the heart or the lungs or something like that.
It's so many different parts that can be donated, and I think that, like you said, when you initially hear donation, you feel like it's for a good cause. A lot of times it's not explained to the family in detail what exactly are the possibilities that could happen, and the processes in which they go to secure or to get these organs and long bones and corneas and skin and all that kind of stuff.
And when you hear the Army is, what the hell are the Army's going to do? But right? Eric? And Eric, for those, obviously this is a case. This is a case for the families.
I think so. I think it's a case, I think they need to lawyer up. And this is really, it's shocking. It shocks the conscience. So I think it's something that, if I was in their situation, I'd call the Jim Adler or the personal injury lawyer local, and I'd have a conversation with them. I think this is it's a question of whether there's some level of negligence, intentional infliction of emotional distress. This is a law school kind of question that could happen on an exam. It's very juicy.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. Still ahead in 90 seconds, the latest on the investigation surrounding Sean P. Diddy Combs. And at 11, new research on childbirth and black mothers. It suggests women are being sent to the operating room for delivery, even if it's not needed. And the cesarean section. Plus, how long has it been since you've been to church? Don't answer that, Eric, if you have to think about it. We'll talk about those stories next here on The Factor. Thank you.